Let me back up a sec, because the truth is, the night everything changed for me didn't start with violence. It started with 100 eyes watching me walk into a room I never should have had to fight to belong in. You know what I mean? Sometimes the story isn't about what explodes, but about what's quietly boiling under the surface until it bursts. And that's exactly how this went down. So there I was, in my best red dress, sliding through the glass doors of the Regal Crest, Manhattan's idea of a fairy tale with marble floors, gold lights, people so polished you'd swear they left their real faces at home. My heart thumped, but not with nerves. Anger, maybe, or something older, something that always curled up inside me when I stepped into rooms like that, where everything looked perfect until you noticed the chill. Every head turned, some just curious, others cold, a few with that tight little smile that says, "Why is she here?" instead of "Welcome." I wasn't there for them. I was there for Naomi, my best friend since we were kids, the one who taught me how to breathe when the world tried to choke the air out of me. But tonight, the air was thin. I could feel it, the way voices hushed, the way some people stared straight through me. Others didn't bother hiding their scrutiny. Even the staff, trained to be invisible, seemed more invisible around me, as if I was something contagious. Every step I took echoed. Every circle of laughter closed up just a little tighter as I passed. By the fountain, a cluster of women in pastel silks paused, trading glances that said everything they wouldn't say out loud. You ever been somewhere and felt the room contract around you, like the air got sucked out? Yeah, that happened, but I kept moving. Because that's what you do. You keep your head up, you pretend you don't notice, you walk like you have every right to be there. Because you do, even when they want to shrink you down to nothing. My mom drilled that into me, and she was right. Still, every step made my heart hammer louder. I spotted a little girl watching me. Just for a second, she smiled back. Her mom jerked her away so fast I almost laughed. It stung, but it was nothing new. And Naomi? Nowhere to be seen. I scanned the crowd for her, reminding myself why I was there. But the crowd wasn't about to let me forget I was an outsider. I passed a group of men, rich, young, smug, the kind who talk about diversity like it's a punchline. And sure enough, one of them muttered something loud enough to sting, and laughter followed me down the hall that I reached the bar, hoping for a breather, but the cold didn't let up. A man leaned in to block my view. Women clutched their glasses and turned their backs, and the bartender pretended not to see me, serving everyone else first. I waited, pretending patience. At my side, a couple of women started whispering, checking me out like I was a problem they couldn't quite solve, their faces twisted with that practiced blend of pity and contempt. It was a dance I knew too well. Shrug it off, stand tall, don't let it break you. That's when the first real wall dropped. One of Naomi's friends, blonde, tall, perfect smile with an edge sharper than glass, stopped right in my path. "Lost your way," she said, sweet as poison. I just smiled back, told her I was with Naomi, that we went to law school together. The hush around us got louder. She laughed, not buying it, then turned to her friends, who closed in, their approval silent but clear. Every movement was a test. Was I worth the space I took up? Did I belong? I stood my ground, silent, letting the question hang. Even as they tried to edge me out, that's when the real trouble started. In the corridor to the banquet hall, a group of women fanned out to block me. "Are you lost?" one asked, voice full of fake concern. I said no. I was here for Naomi, showed my invitation, but they weren't having it. Phones came out, cameras aimed, the humiliation deliberate, their words sharp and practiced. "This isn't the place for stunts. Maybe you should head back to the kitchen." I wanted to walk away. For a split second, I almost did. But I remembered Naomi's voice in my head. "Don't shrink. Don't disappear." So I stood my ground. "Call whoever you want," I said. "I'm not moving." Security arrived, cold faces, impassive. Then came the cops. One in particular, Jonathan, white uniform, swagger that screamed power. He didn't ask questions. He barked orders, shoved me against the wall, searched me rougher than I'd ever been searched in my life. My invitation scattered to the floor, my dignity shattered in front of a crowd with phones raised, ready for a show. Someone shouted for my arrest. People accused me of stealing. the mob closing in, hungry for blood or humiliation or both. And when I tried to speak, tried to explain, to reach for any humanity in the room, Jonathan slapped me. Hard. So hard my head snapped to the side and the pain exploded, the kind that makes your knees buckle and your pride crawl away to hide. I caught myself before I fell, felt the blood start to trickle down my face, felt the humiliation burn in my cheeks. No one helped. No one even looked like they wanted to. Some faces glowed with satisfaction. Others pretended not to see. You know what the worst part was? I could have walked away, I could have let them win, but I stayed. Because you don't get to erase me. Not tonight. Not ever. But the storm wasn't done yet. Jonathan grabbed a chair. Yeah, a damn chair, and swung it at me. The crack echoed through the hall. The pain white-hot and immediate as the wood smashed against my head, sent me sprawling. Blood poured down my face. Some people screamed. Others filmed, eager for the next viral moment. I remember locking eyes with him, seeing nothing but fury and contempt. And in that chaos, through the crowd, through the jeers, Naomi finally burst in, her dress still white, her face twisted with terror. She screamed for help, cradled me, called them monsters, demanded someone do something. And just then, a voice near the head table cut through the noise. Someone recognized me. That's Serena Carter, the Secretary of State. The room went dead quiet. Faces drained of color. Phones stopped recording. People stumbled over apologies. The cop, so brave a moment ago, now looked terrified. Ma'am, I didn't know, he started, but it didn't matter. My name hadn't mattered an hour ago. Only my skin did. And then the real shift came. The world watching, news blowing up, justice for Serena trending in every corner of the country, protests on the streets, politicians scrambling to condemn the violence. The reckoning was immediate and relentless. Jonathan and the others faced charges, the hotel swamped by lawsuits and boycotts. My hospital room became a war room. My face, battered but unbroken, a symbol no one could ignore. But the aftermath wasn't all glory. There were threats, attacks, lies spun on TV. Even my daughter, Leia, bullied at school and terrified at home. My family became targets. The hate wasn't hidden anymore. But every day, I remembered why I had to keep fighting. I went on TV, faced down my accusers, exposed the lies, called out the silence and the complicity that lets cruelty thrive. When they tried to break me in Congress, I laid out the truth, their corruption, their racism, their plots to silence me. For once, the country couldn't look away. You see, the victory wasn't just the court ruling, though seeing Jonathan convicted was its own kind of justice. The victory was every kid who saw that you could stand up and survive, every neighbor who learned silence is complicity, every law changed because we made noise too loud to ignore. We built a movement out of my pain, a movement that stretched from the marble halls of the Capitol to the streets where ordinary people demanded justice. And when I stood on that stage, looking out at a sea of faces lit by hope and outrage, I knew this wasn't just about me or Naomi or Leia. It was about everyone who's ever been told to sit down and stay quiet. I ended that night with the same fire I started it with. Only now, the world was burning with me, not against me. Oh, now it's your turn. Tell me, do you think justice was really served? Was it enough? Or are we still just scratching at the surface of something deeper, something bigger than any one person? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's make sure no one ever feels invisible in their own story again.